Ready to go? Yes. We're ready to go. I'd like to call this meeting of the Tiburon Town Council to order. Let's see. My direction's a little different than what Greg gave me. So at this time, Lee, would you like to tell people how to submit public comment?
Can I do a roll call first?
Really? Okay, sometimes that comes before.
Councilmember Nick Farr,
Present.
Councilmember Ryan,
Here.
Councilmember Wellner,
Here.
Vice Mayor Thier.
Here.
And Mayor Fredericks.
Here.
And now I'll do the instructions, Mayor.
Yes, on public comment.
If you're calling in on Zoom and would like to make a comment during this meeting, please use the raise hand feature of Zoom, which will indicate to me you would like to make a comment. You can find the raise hand button on your webinar controls bar on the bottom of your Zoom window or smartphone screen. If you're calling in using a phone, you can dial *9 to raise your hand.
I have a quick question. How many people are on the Zoom currently?
One member of the public.
Okay, and we have no members of the public here other than Francisco in the room today? Okay, let's check it. Here's that one. Yeah, okay.
Rub it in.
It all depends on what's on the agenda.
Yeah, this must be a boring agenda.
All right. Now's the time for open time for comments that are not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes. The council is not able to have a discussion, though we may give direction to staff. Is there anyone who would like to make comment not on the agenda?
Seeing none.
All right. We move right into action items. Our first action item is the Hawthorne Undergrounding District Assessment District. And do we have a staff report?
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, before that, I have a material property interest in the district, so I would like to recuse myself from this item.
Thank you very much, council member.
Funny.
All right, so we'll proceed with action item number 1. Is there a staff report?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Good evening, members of the council and members of the public. This item has been a long time coming. You may all remember the Hawthorne Undergrounding District. I was just speaking with Councilmember Ryan about this. This project actually started in 2015, but really kicked off in early 2016. So it's taken 8 years to get to this point, which is shocking in some ways. But good news, the project has been complete for some time in terms of the construction, and we've had to finalize a bunch of loose end items at the end, but we are here tonight to seek council's approval of a resolution that would direct staff to take the necessary steps to disperse the surplus funds that are left from the financing of the project. You may recall that property owners had the option of either prepaying their assessment completely or having their assessment financed through a bond. And about 85% or 90% of the folks chose the bond route. Therefore, this surplus is considered surplus funds of the bond financing. And although the state code that sets rules for undergrounding districts gives council several options on what to do with those surplus funds, this financing was tax exempt financing and therefore also subject to fairly complex IRS rules on what the council can do with surplus funds. And to summarize it, we had the bond counsel, which was Stradling Law, do an analysis of the situation. And I think Exhibit 2 of your packet is their memo to us, essentially saying that the council really has no option other than to direct us to refund bonds as soon as they are callable, and bonds are currently callable. On the next date would be March 1st. So Stradling's opinion is a recommendation that council direct staff to get that process in place. Just to give you a sense of the numbers, the surplus available for distribution is approximately $838,000. You'll see in the staff report, it says $848,000. That does not factor in $10,000 we need to expend for our financial advisor and our attorney to do this distribution process. That money will be split essentially into two pots. The first pot would be roughly $167,000. That'll be distributed to folks who prepaid their assessments. And that actually includes the town will get a small return as well because we contributed to the project. The larger portion, approximately 670,000 or so, will be used to call the bonds as directed by both Stradling Law and our financial advisor, Sperry Capital. So tonight, we're just asking you to adopt a resolution that would direct staff essentially to take all the necessary steps to take this final step on the project. Happy to answer any questions.
So I have a question. I found the legal memo pretty turgid for someone who's not in finance. And one of the things that I can figure out is how this affects the individual undergrounding member. Does he just have less of a balance to pay off over the course of the undergrounding?
Essentially, yes. So again, there's two processes that'll take place here. One is let's take the example of a property owner who prepaid their assessment. And let's say their assessment was $100,000. The surplus represents about 9.6% discount from what we anticipated spending. So those who prepaid their assessments will essentially get 9.6% back from their prepaid assessment.
Get cash back?
Yep, for the folks who prepaid.
Prepaid.
For the folks who utilize the bond financing, it's a little complex, but bonds will be refunded, meaning you will essentially pay the bonds off. And this will result in roughly a 9.6% reduction in the annual tax payment that those folks pay for the next 28 years or so, the life of the bonds.
And that 10% deduct less each month or over this?
It's it would be 10% annually, essentially, and tax payments are, broken into two payments if you want to do it that way. So essentially the folks who are paying on their taxes pay it as part of their property tax bill. If last year your line item for this was $100, next year it'll be $90 essentially for the remainder of the term.
Does anyone on the council have any other questions? I am seeing none.
I have one. So in terms of the disbursement, based off of what we've gotten from Sperry Capital Inc., those are the only options available for the disbursement of the funds, and we have not looked elsewhere or outside of Sperry Capital's findings for other options for the disbursement of funds.
Sperry Capital is not the attorney, so they were our financial advisors.
Yeah.
I mean, Stradling has been the
Stradling.
bond counsel on
Right.
this matter since 2017. So we sought an opinion from our bond counsel on this, and that's the opinion they gave us.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I am seeing none. Is there any public comment on this item? I am seeing none there. Is there any discussion by the council? If not, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution. It is in Exhibit 1 to redeem a portion of the bonds issued and outstanding under the indenture on May 2nd, 2025, and to provide a credit to any assessment previously paid in cash, including assessments which are partially prepaid in cash by the town prior to issuance of the bonds, and the amount of such assessments proportionate share of surplus funds as described in the code. And if you need me to reread it, I'd be glad to. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Yes.
We move now to the Greenwood Beach Restoration Project. Staff report.
Madam Mayor, members of the council and the public, we are here this evening to give you a A little bit of history and where we're at right now with the restoration of the Greenwood Beach and the Brunini beaches at Blackie's Pasture Park. A little bit of background. A concept design started for this project back in 2018, and it was funded by the county through the 2017 Marin Community Foundation grant. And then in 2019, the county was awarded the preliminary design grant, again, from the Marin County Foundation grant itself to the Marin County Department of Public Works to begin a preliminary design in 2019. In 2021, they were funded, again, the County of Marin was funded the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority grant for them to complete the final design, permitting, and any environmental CEQA work for this project. This right here is kind of an overview of what's happening there at Blackie's Pasture. We've got the Greenwood Beach area here and the Brunini Beach area on this side of the flood channel that goes right between them underneath the bridge. As you can see, they are doing a lot of work, natural work here as far as bringing in sand, some gravel, some cobblestones, some natural features to create a kind of a beach entry, but also create some type of sea level rise and erosion control mitigation spots along both of these areas along Blackie's Pasture. Right now, we are in the construction funding phase. So the county applied a couple times to try to get full funding for the construction phase. They applied to the San Francisco Restoration Authority back in 2023, which was rejected. They also applied to the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation this year in April. That was rejected. So the team attended many conferences, and the team, when I say the team, it's the County of Marin, Roger Leventhal, who is the lead engineer with the county. So he attended a lot of conferences and presented this project in many conferences, and especially here at the State of the Estuary Conference in March of 2024. After that meeting in July of 2024, a couple months ago, the project team received a call from the California State Coastal Conservancy staff to offer them construction funding for this project, full construction funding. So the Coastal Conservancy Board will be recommending construction funding at their November 21st, 2024 board meeting that's happening next month. A little background on the project here as well. It did go to the Post Commission 3 times. It was presented to Post back in November of 2019. That was the kind of the preliminary design. And then we went back in 2020. At that meeting, the county presented to Post, but Post wanted to come back again in December to get more public input from residents. So we went back in December, and at that meeting, there was a unanimous support for the project, and they recommended taking it to town council. We did come to town council in February of 2021, a couple months later, and town council adopted a resolution of local support for grant funding. And this included design and construction for the county to go out there and seek. And again, here this evening, we're here asking for a recommendation to authorize staff to accept grant funding from the State Coastal Conservancy for the construction phase. What the next steps are. Receive the State Coastal Conservancy grant for the construction phase in November next month. And that grant is for approximately $1.4 million, which will cover all the construction and maintenance for 3 years and any unforeseen items that may arise during construction. Permits will be submitted late this month to all the different entities that are involved, including BCDC. Plans will be completed and specs approximately by March of next year. So the plans are substantially completed right now, but depending on what we get back from these permitting agencies, we may have to tweak some of the plans to conform to what they are requesting. So we're looking at March 2025. The county will go out to bid for qualifying contractors May of 2025. Construction will begin September of next year. It's estimated to last between 4 to 6 weeks and completed around the end of October of next year. We want to thank a lot of different folks that were involved in this project, specifically the Marin Community Foundation grant, the Coastal Conservancy, the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority, and of course, Roger Leventhal, who has spearheaded this project since 2018, relentlessly not giving up and getting us 100% funding for design, environmental, and construction to beautify the Black East pasture area. So this evening, we're here asking Town Council to consider adopting a resolution authorizing staff to accept grant funding from the State Coastal Conservancy for the construction phase of the Greenwood and Brunini Living Shoreline Beach Enhancement Project. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
So I actually have maybe two questions. This is not about sea level rise adaptation. It's about erosion control.
It'll actually work for both purposes, sea level rise and erosion control, because it's nature based, meaning as the sea level comes in and goes out, it will not erode the shoreline. So it's a little bit of both. They're putting some material in there that will help with sea level rise as well.
And
So-
then my second question is, just simply to refresh everybody's memory, why is it that riprap and hard barriers don't work as well for sea level rise?
With riprap and sea level, one of the problems that they have out there is that it doesn't, with the wave action, it's not able to flow in and out with the waves. That's where they're going with the living shoreline here. What it does is as waves come in and pull out, the material, the wave action pulls the material out, leaving big old ledges and voids below the riprap, which also then goes down and creates an erosion, a bad area around where the riprap is, and it never corrects itself. With this new design that they have, the living shoreline, the material will move in and out with the wave actions, meaning that it will not erode. They have the same concept out at Aramburu Island out there, and it's been out there for, I believe it's about 10 years. And the last time I heard from the county, when I spoke to Roger, they have not done any maintenance at all there, and it's still as if they had just placed it out there.
Fantastic. Are there any more questions?
Yeah, I wanted to just mention, so this was one of the projects that that we approved, I think pretty early on when I was on post. And some of the things that were really interesting about it was the maintenance, low maintenance costs at Aramburu Island. And to add what David pointed out around the wave energy from riprap, there were two other options. So you have sand, you have riprap, you also have concrete that you can use to block wave energy. And there are drawbacks for riprap, which David talked about. There's also a big drawback for concrete because it disperses the wave energy to either side rather than capturing the wave energy. And that's something that's really unique in this approach they took with Aramburu Island. And it's one of the things that resonated a lot with everyone on post at the time. It's cost effective. It's returning the shoreline to more of a natural state and what it originally was, because I think one of the things that came up in the process with Roger Leventhal was there was a big push to turn it into a marsh. And Roger clarified that area has never been a marsh. It's always been a beach. And so it's important that we keep it a beach. And so this is low cost, it's returning it to its natural state, and it's solving for wave energy and other issues like that. So it was very quickly, passed. And I, it's unfortunate that it's taken as long as it did. And I'm sure COVID had something to do with that as well, but it's very exciting to see that it's here now and that we're very close to having that big improvement for the town.
Are there any other yes?
I think we're on comments. So I just wanted to say how excited I am about this. I remember when it first came up and, making this a living shoreline, also inhibiting shoreline erosion, providing flood protection. This is all in line with our climate action plan. And I'm very excited to see this happen. I'm glad that they got the funding. I'm just so excited to see this happen. So thank you for your work as
Further
well, David.
Questions from the council? I'm going to ask Isaac, since Post ground this up to us, sent it up to us, to make the motion.
All right.
I'm gonna make the motion. We should open it for public comment.
Is there any public comment? Are you sure?
That was a comment.
That's public comment.
Go.
Isaac,
Um,
you're on.
yeah, so I'd like to move that we adopt this plan as it is worded in the agenda.
Second.
All right, so what we're doing is
Or second.
accepting the grant funding. And the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving now to military equipment annual report. Staff report.
Evening. AB 481 governs the use of military equipment by law enforcement, and in October of 2022, the council adopted that ordinance, and it also incorporates the Tiburon Police Department Policy 706 regarding military equipment. And the ordinance and policy requires the Tiburon Police Department to make an annual report to council on the use of the equipment over the prior year, and I do have those statistics available if you are ready to hear them.
Yes, please, go ahead.
There's been no changes to the police department's inventory of military equipment. There's also been no deployments of that equipment. And as of this council meeting today, the police department has no intention to purchase any new military equipment.
Is that the report?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, officer. Do we have any comments or questions from the council? I am seeing none. Any public comment or questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Bring it back to council. Is there any discussion? I will entertain a motion then to accept the report and renew the military equipment ordinance for another year. Direct staff to continue with its annual review procedure. Will someone make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. We move now to council reports. Are there any town council reports? Okay, I would like to make a couple of comments. I think we need to have on our radar at some point a future sea level rise subcommittee. Now, I'm not asking to appoint it now, to work with the town to address the AB 272 requirement that local governments within the coastal zone and San Francisco Bay develop a sea level rise plan by 2024. This will make us all eligible for prioritized funding, and the county has begun developing governance options to help jurisdictions consolidate their efforts. So that's my report on that. Would staff like to comment on that in any way? No. All right.
I just note, the deadline, I believe, is 2034. I believe you said 2024.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 20 to 34. That is right. My
I just want to comment. I think that's a great idea. Mayor Fredericks, great idea.
Thank you. Then I would like to see on the agenda the Climate Action Plan's annual report. I don't know how it's actually in the plan that we're going to make this annual report. It's somewhere. Maybe it's in the general plan. I've read it. So let's see that. I think the coordinator, I believe she did one for Mill Valley already. And then I got a message from a member of the public asking me about the consistency of our electrification ordinances and related plans with the recently passed countywide building electrification roadmap. I really don't know anything about that. I don't know whether it should be on the agenda, but I wanted to ask staff to comment on it. Yeah.
I'd like to comment first. So I have asked already that be placed on the agenda because the county came back with what's kind of a model ordinance. So
So we'll be seeing that on the agenda before we know if we have to change anything.
Yeah, it's not particularly clear from the county what they're seeking from jurisdictions. We had a meeting about this just a day ago. Our understanding is that I think the supervisors adopted it yesterday, whatever their meeting was
Couple of
this
days
week.
ago, yeah.
And it's not ordinances, it's a plan, it's an aspirational document. We believe they're seeking jurisdictions to review and vote to support or adopt it. It doesn't commit any jurisdiction to any particular action. So yes, the short answer is we will be bringing this to council now that the supervisors have adopted it this week. We'll be bringing it to council in the near future.
And I realize it's a roadmap, it's a plan. I just wondered, since we have some building ordinances that address electrification, that it might be interesting to know how we fit into this with our existing ordinances.
Yeah, we can certainly touch on that when we present the information from the.
That'd
county
be
pipeline.
really great. And then the third thing, Jack, council member Ryan and I worked for a couple of months, many months, to update the council policy document. And then two of our council members took it into a subcommittee where it's been for over a year. I would like to put it on the next agenda. Whether you guys get a chance to brush up on what you're doing before that or not, we can discuss it. And, you know, it's pretty pro forma. The information that's already in it is based both on how we have operated in the past and updated a little, taking in some consistencies with other jurisdictions that might have had better ideas. And the idea would be for you to discuss it and approve it, so there's a document about how the council works and what the public can expect from us. So that'd be great to see on the agenda next time or as soon as possible. And that ends my report.
Is the next meeting is after the election?
Correct, day after.
So that's the one where we typically select a mayor and then.
No, we do that the first meeting in December because the election results will not be certified for 30 days.
Okay,
So the day after the election, there'll be
so it'll be after the election, but before the certification.
before the new council year starts, basically.
All right. And yes.
I have one, an agenda question, and that is, I'm not sure, you probably already have this planned, but I think it's probably about time for us to get an update on whatever's happening with the traffic study. It's been a while since we've
David, I think we have
heard about that. Do you have that in your mind about when it's gonna come up?
Yes, we have that scheduled. It is on. It's December, the first meeting,
Okay,
I
that's
believe,
fine.
in December.
I just wanted to make sure it was.
Parametrics, yeah.
There's been a lot of focus, of course, on the Parks Master Plan, but this is another really important planning effort, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to the town council policy document. We are planning to meet after the election, so that first Wednesday would not work. So we will get back with a date that will work.
You know, I'm saying that let's bring it to the council and the council can talk about your ideas then too. So let's move on. There's town manager report.
Nothing to add, Madam Mayor, other than two young gentlemen in the audience. I'm not sure if they were here for public comment and missed it. Gentlemen, were you here to speak?
No, they came in after and we're very glad to reopen public
Yeah, that's what I
comment
wanted to.
if you would like to make a comment. Just in general, it doesn't have to be anything on the agenda, and you don't have to comment if you really are not ready to do so, but we'd love to hear from you.
All right, well, welcome.
All right, we are adjourned, folks. Thank you very much.
It's not.
It was canceled.